Welcome to Coming About with David Paragamian, the podcast that dives deep into the minds of leaders who have transformed their businesses and industries, paving the way for a better future. Here's Dave.
My guest this week on Coming About is Grace Tobin, who I have known for quite a long time, and I've watched the trajectory, Grace, of your career in marketing across a number of companies. So I'm really excited to hear you unpack some of the decisions that you've made and the things that have launched you and continue to launch you upward as a marketing leader in the industry. So thank you for making time to be with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Awesome. So why don't we go ahead and get started? So I know, Grace, coming out of school, did you know that you wanted to be in pharma and healthcare, or was that just one of those acts of luck?
Yeah, it's a funny question. I wish I had some romantic story about me always knowing I wanted to help people and help provide access to life-saving medicine on a public scale. But no, that's not my story. I was a marketing major at the University of Scranton and was actually like a little bit uncertain about exactly what I wanted to do. And Dan DeVito, who you know, he came and gave a talk at a career day at my school during my senior year. And he described his experience in a program called the Marketing and Sales Rotational Development Program, which included a handful of 6 to 12 month rotations in sales training, and marketing. When I heard him speak about that, it really piqued my interest because it sounded like the perfect way to kind of find out what you want to be when you grow up. So basically, I stalked him after he gave that talk. And I pestered him enough to the point where they gave me an interview, and I was lucky enough to get the job. I mean, I think that my resume and my extracurriculars, they were okay, but I think my perseverance is what really got me the job. I was really hungry for it. I really, really wanted it. But I have to say that my decision to stay in pharma comes from like a consistent, rewarding feeling that I've had since I started. I feel like I am playing some kind of a role in keeping people healthy and safe, and I'm getting paid to do it, which is pretty cool.
Well, you said a lot of smart things, all of which resonate for me. I mean, first, I wound up 35 plus years in pharma, all by accident. I knew I wanted to be with Procter & Gamble. I wanted to go to the consumer packaged goods side of their business. They directed me to pharma. Here I am many, many years later, and super grateful for it, as you said, because although the true heroes in the story are the physician in the white coat, the patient in the room with her navigating the diagnosis and the treatment, the fact that we as healthcare communicators and marketers are in the room in a small way, helping, facilitating, it matters. It really does. And I know I say that to the folks that I work with all the time. The other thing you said that you used the word stalking, and I'm not going to encourage listeners to do that, but you did translate that word then into perseverance, which I do think is so important. That you're right, that it isn't always the highest GPA. It isn't always, those sorts of things. Sometimes it's grit and determination, and what Dan saw in you was the persistence that, good on, and a lot of other things, but good on you for landing. Okay. You start out in this sales and marketing rotational program for Sanofi Pasteur in the vaccines business unit. You spent time carrying the bag. You transition into internal marketing roles, a series of them, which is where you and I connected. But tell me a little bit about that transition from sales in the field to in-house marketing. Was that immediately comfortable, over time comfortable? Any adjustments and learning curves there?
It's a great question. For me, actually, the transition from sales to marketing was quite hard. First of all, I was living in sunny Southern California for my sales rotation. I literally was living on a beachfront property in Santa Monica where the weather is beautiful every day. And I remember I moved from Santa Monica to Scranton, Pennsylvania in the middle of winter. That was a little rough. But the thing that was tough for me was I really had to learn how to be a corporate citizen in an office. Whereas before I had been sort of running my own business out in the field. There were a few things I did to help the transition after I had struggled for a bit. I found a couple really good mentors. I made some good friends that we started to carpool together to work. And at least we could commiserate about the commute, whatever. And I started to really just invest in my career and buckle down, and I put my head down and did good work. And I remember saying to myself, okay, this is uncomfortable right now, but this is not forever. And I think that really helped me through. I just remember consistently saying to myself, yeah, this is a rough, this is a rough transition, but it's not always going to be this way. So, enjoy the folks around you, learn as much as you can from the folks around you, and things will get better. And for me, it was a moment where I sort of, had to look back and say, wow, it's incredible how a few good people can really impact your life. I had a couple really good mentors that I probably wouldn't be here today if they hadn't, been so kind to me.
So really brave pivot from beachfront Santa Monica to snowy Scranton in the middle of January. And also something that you were willing to share in there, which was initially it was harder than I thought. And you said you went and found some mentors, and you were just saying about how important it is to have people that are, your board of directors that are helping shape and guide you. That's not necessarily your manager. And that insight of that you went and found them, it isn't like the company said, hey, as part of this developmental program for high potential young people, here is your mentor, John Doe, Jane Doe. You're going to meet with him or her once a month. You went out and found the people that you could say, as you said, how do I become a better corporate citizen? I'm no longer in the front seat of my own car running my own territory. I'm navigating everything that is about a corporation, including the inevitable internal political stuff. So just for a second, if you wouldn't mind, how did you go about finding people to be those mentors, to be those personal board of directors? Because I know that that's something that a lot of people think about, but that they worry that it's too hard to do. It sounds like you found them.
Yeah, that's a really good question. They weren't appointed to me. It wasn't like somebody said, okay, this person's going to be your mentor. I sort of remember observing a couple people that I thought were really, really good, but also really, really kind. Folks that I thought would be approachable, that would take the time to just talk to me, but that I really respected in the workplace. And I remember thinking of them as sort of like superheroes at Sanofi. And I just remember setting time up with them and, very humbly asking if they would just, spend some time with me as I navigated this transition, and, be open to me asking questions and maybe, grabbing lunch with them from time to time. And they became really influential in my career, and today are still good friends.
That's great. I mean, I love this superheroes at Sanofi. I can just see the uniform with the S and the capes. And I think I know some of the people you're talking about. And you're right. Super competent, super kind, but good on you for having not only the courage, again, back to the whole theme of this conversation, the courage to make decisions, make changes, not only picking up and moving from Santa Monica, leaving the sales into marketing, but the courage to walk up to somebody and say, hey, I've noticed I could use help with, would you help me? That's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about, you're in the office there up in northeastern Pennsylvania. You're in these marketing roles. You also got put in not only a U.S. role, but a global role, collaborating, managing, leading teams around the world. And I know that can be challenging for people, cultures, languages, expectations of how things get done. Any observations or learnings or just free advice for those going through that are adapting to the global part of the assignment?
Yes. So it's super different doing a marketing role on a global scale than in an affiliate. And I think for me, the biggest, if I was going to have one piece of advice for someone, I would say you get a whole lot more by consensus gaining than forcing commitment. When you are in a global role, it is your responsibility to do what's right for the markets, but also do what's right for the brand. And it might seem like that the best path and the shortest path is just to say, okay, this is what the strategy is. This is what we're doing. But you really gain the commitment of teams when you bring them along with you and have them co-create the strategy with you. And then they're with you for the long run. And it is so worth it to invest the time up front to listen to countries, to have them in the engine room with you building, rather than just mandating or telling, this is what we're going to do.
That verb co-create, so powerful. And by the way, I got the pleasure of working for you as an agency partner during that time period. And I watched you do exactly what you're talking about, that inspirational, bringing people along, and that feeling of others getting to co-create so they own it. So it isn't Grace's strategy, it isn't Grace's plan, it's our collective plan. And so everyone becomes, all in with it. And I saw it firsthand, and I totally believe that that's your superpower. So when other people are looking to you as a mentor, when you've got the cape and the S on your chest, I think that that's your superpower of having people feel like they want to be on this shared team with you on this journey. So in case you didn't know, that's your superpower.
Oh, that's awfully nice of you, Dave. I think that you have to find ways to strongly articulate the must wins and then learn to let the rest go. And it's not an easy thing, but it's worth it.
And speaking of brave pivots and letting things go, I want to dig even deeper into all of these career steps and turns, but we have to put a pin in and stop here. Coming up next time on Coming About, Grace Tobin will discuss what the important aspects of her next step in her career journey are.
I'll also be looking to work for a company where there's tangible examples of women leaders throughout the company. I think having a diverse organization with men and women leadership running the show makes a huge difference.
This has been Coming About. We hope these conversations have left you feeling empowered and ready to take your organization to the next level. To speak with Dave about your business transformation or to learn more about Health Monitor Network, go to healthmonitornetwork.com. And don't forget to check out his book, Coming About, How We Transformed a Major Media Company and the Lessons There for You. Available wherever books are sold. Coming About with David Paragamian is a production of Advantage Audio.